And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Thursday, April 24th, 2025. And looking at the weather-related headlines across the state of Alaska, we are seeing the early beginnings of river breakup on a few river systems. The upper Kuskokwim, we had the ice and things clear out there in Nikolai on Tuesday afternoon, so that process will continue along the upper Kuskokwim as we go into this weekend, but no major shift of the ice and rising water levels for areas of the middle and lower Kuskokwim expected at this time. There's still a heavy snowpack across the central interior, especially up through the middle, upper Yukon and the Tanana valleys, and that still is awaiting breakup. We are going to continue to watch some North Pacific lows slide across the Aleutians, Lower Bering, up into the southwest coast around Bristol Bay and Kuskokwim Bays, and then across the Alaska Peninsula to the Gulf and into the Panhandle. That's going to be the general storm tracker pattern for southern areas of the state, taking us up through the end of April into the first week of May. Overall, it looks like colder than normal temperatures in the far north and west side of the state, with wetter conditions across especially southeastern Alaska through the Panhandle into early May. Now, taking a look at some of the FAA webcams, up there above McGrath, Nikolai, just full sunshine, 45 degrees, so that's helping to facilitate the river breakup there along the upper Kuskokwim. Over at Eagle, it's partly sunny, 36 degrees, a little cooler temperatures there along the upper Yukon, so there's a little ways to go there before breakup commences. And as we look down along the Alaska Peninsula, we have a front right now pushing out of the eastern Aleutians up into the lower Alaska Peninsula, and that arcs back up toward east of the Pribilovs. That front's going to push up into Kuskokwim and Bristol Bays tonight. Some light rain there at Perryville in the lower portion of the peninsula at 38 degrees. Across the Gulf, Gustavus reporting a steadier rain and low overcast 41 this afternoon, and much of the Panhandle seeing either showers or areas of light to occasionally moderate rain, with an area of low pressure that will be pushing across the northern Panhandle into the lower Yukon tonight and early Friday morning. So at this time, there are no warnings or advisories in effect, but we do have a special weather statement for areas once again along the Arctic coast. During the day Friday into at least early Sunday, there's potential for some additional stronger easterly winds that will cause some blowing and drifting snow. Not as bad as the last episode last weekend, but enough that there will be some areas here, if you do have any type of travel or hunting activities along the coast, to just be aware that there could be some gustier winds at times in areas of blowing, drifting snow and reduced visibility. Otherwise, in the rest of the state, at least for the time being of this mid-Thursday afternoon, we do not have any watches, warnings, or advisories. And a quick check of the Alaska River breakup map, we still find that there is mostly ice across the north and west side of the state, especially considering the Yukon, Koyukuk rivers. And as you go up the middle Yukon, there's a ton of snowpack in this region. North between the Brooks Range and Alaska Range, there's a lot of snowpack in this region. There are some areas showing some opening along the middle upper Tanana River. And then, of course, down here, Copper River Basin, also some opening developing. And we had that opening of the waters there, especially around and above Nikolai on Tuesday afternoon. So this process will gradually accelerate as we get into May. However, temperatures are going to average below normal across northern and western areas of the state. So that could delay river breakup by a few days at the very least. Looking at the satellite imagery this afternoon, here's that low pressure spinning in the Gulf. This low is going to eventually come inland tonight and Friday morning. There are a couple troughs rotating around this, enhancing showers or areas of rain. Still getting some wet snow in the higher elevations of the coastal mountains, but this system will continue to plague the northeastern Gulf Coast and the Panhandle with lingering rain or showers during the day on Friday, though conditions should be improving by Saturday afternoon and for a time Saturday night. Here's the next couple areas of low pressure extending back toward the lower Bering with this arcing front. That is the front that's going to push up in here along Bristol Bay and especially the YK deltas. That will have some wet snow or a mix of wet snow and some rain as we go through tonight and into the day Friday. And eventually some of that moisture will pull all the way north to the Seward Peninsula and Bering Strait by later Friday night and Saturday morning. So this Thursday night into Friday morning, this weakening low will continue to keep some areas of rain and rain showers at sea level and at low elevations here across the Panhandle and into the Gulf Coast, especially northeastern Gulf Coast. That will eventually push inland. Here we have the leading edge of that frontal system weakening as it pushes up into the southwest coast. Precipitation amounts are not expected to be heavy. It's not going to be super windy, but it will be breezy in some locations. And then for Friday, the initial push, the first low and the front kind of wash out. We have the other low just kind of get absorbed northeastward, and then the other trough that was extending eastward pushes just to south of right along that Gulf North Pacific interface. This will be the next main low, but again, the central pressure is not all that low, just below 1,000 millibars. So Saturday, we find this trough just lingering along the west coast, and along this trough, there could be some areas of mainly light snow or a mix of light rain and snow all the way up there toward the Bering Strait and even up to Kotzebue Sound. On the backside, a little colder air dropping down across the Bering could have some snow showers with it, but that's well west of both St. Matthew and St. Paul. And then these couple of disturbances, we have just kind of that lingering trough over the Alaska range with a scattering of a few snow showers also over northwestern and western Canada. These troughs not that significant. There'll be another low that comes up out of the northern Pacific on Sunday, and that'll be the next system push some moisture up toward the Panhandle as we get into later Sunday and Sunday night. But back toward the west, we still have just that area of low pressure sitting and spinning over the southeast Bering between St. Paul and the Kuskokwim Delta, Nunavik Island. Nothing heavy. This precipitation is not very heavy, almost more showery and patchy. But this is just kind of the pattern we're going to be in now going into early May. The lows are going to be coming up out in the North Pacific, brushing the Aleutians lower Bering and either pulling some energy back up into this corner, or you're going to have something come up and go into the Gulf for a weak secondary development. So it's just going to keep more unsettled weather along the Gulf Coast, Alaska Peninsula, toward the Panhandle. And right now, I'll show that the extended temperature and precipitation forecast shows that the precipitation, the best likelihood for above normal precipitation will be over the Panhandle, southeast corner of the mainland. Temperature-wise, we still could see some readings down below zero. Anatuvik Pass was 4 below this morning. Yesterday, Anchorage had the state's high of 56. It was a warm afternoon across the Anchorage Bowl. Lows tonight, North Slope, Arctic Coast, single digits above zero. And we find readings generally above freezing from St. Paul over to King Salmon, Dillingham, and then up into the Anchorage Bowl, lower Mat-Su Valley, and across the Panhandle, readings near 40, Sitka through Ketchikan. High temperatures are not going to be especially warm, even in areas that have sunshine. If you get some more sunshine here, west side of the Alaska range could see some upper 40s, maybe an isolated 50 like at Nikolai or McGrath. But readings should get back up in the low 50s at the very least through, and even mid 50s if you can keep the sun there for Friday afternoon. Anchorage Bowl on up toward the lower Mat-Su Valley. We have a few 50-degree readings popping up lower southern part of the Panhandle, maybe even up there at Skagway, but otherwise coldest temperatures along and north of the Brooks Range, North Slope, Arctic Coast, highs in the teens. And on Saturday morning, notice temperatures moderating just a little bit more, probably staying just above zero at Anatuvik or Adigan passes, but still below freezing in these regions. The upper Yukon Valley, and it'd be below freezing there, but coming on down into south central and extending into the Panhandle, getting to that time of year where temperatures start to stay above freezing. And readings Saturday afternoon should recover upper 40s to lower 50s in areas of the Panhandle. We should expect some more at least lower 50s. Fairbanks through the upper Tanana Valley, including places like Delta Junction, Tok, and Anchorage, Talkeetna, Wasilla, Palmer should see readings above 50 on Saturday afternoon. Coolest temperatures will be up there across the North Slope and Arctic Coast, upper teens to near 20 degrees for highs. And notice even here in the middle, or I should say up through the Kuskokwim Basin and lower half of the Yukon Valley, we could start to get temperatures in the 40s, which will gradually help precipitate the onset of river breakup. But this is the way temperatures are shaping up. 6 to 10 day, April 30th through May 4th. The greatest likelihood of below normal temperatures is along and north of the Brooks Range, especially North Slope, Arctic Coast, even western Seward Peninsula, Ben Chile. Near normal temperatures, like the average high temperature now for Anchorage is up near 50 degrees, so we're going to be in that territory to close out the month. And we could get a bonus day with a little warmer readings into the mid-50s or so, but even across the Panhandle, near normal temperatures expected. If we push that a little further into the first week of May, we expect that to expand a little bit along and just north of the Alaska Range. So the likelihood of near normal temperatures for southern Alaska, southeast Alaska are increasing, and the colder than normal temperatures kind of retreating back toward the northwest coast, especially from around New Exit, Utqiagvik to off of Point Hope, and just clipping the Bering straight down toward St. Lawrence Island. Now, precipitation late this month, early May, the first few days of May, above normal, because I told you those systems are coming up from the North Pacific or crossing the Alaska Peninsula. So the greatest focus with southerly flow and moisture would be Panhandle, Wrangell, St. Elias Mountains, and extending to some extent back through South Central and even up toward Fairbanks. And then it kind of falls off a little further out, because it's almost 2 weeks out, May 2nd through the 8th. So we do still expect the potential for precipitation to average a bit above normal across the Panhandle and the southeast mainland, with near normal precipitation along the North Slope Arctic Coast, all the way down the west side of the state and extending down the lower half of the Alaska Peninsula into the Aleutians.